Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'm making this beautiful 3 granny square crochet bag. Isn't it gorgeous? I'll show you step by step how you can make one just like this. But before we start, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss my upcoming crochet tutorials. For this project, I'll be using a copper, white and a black color yarn. I'm using acrylic yarn right here. Then you'll need a scissor, a tapestry needle and a hook. Right here I'm using a 3 mm hook. You can also use 4 mm hook. It's all up to you. I usually make a little bit loose stitches. That's why I usually use a smaller hook than recommended. Now let's begin with our project. So I've already made one granny square so you can see how it looks like. This is what I made, and each square has 10 rounds and we will be making 3 of them. I will be changing color after every round, and I will also change the sequence of color for each granny square. Maybe later when I'll show all 3 of them you will understand better. So first we will start with a magic ring, and I'll show you here how to make a magic ring. First take your yarn, place it onto your fingers like so, wrap it around and make a cross. Then grab your hook and insert your hook through this yarn. Let me just fix this. Now insert the hook through this yarn and over the other and pull through. Now you see a loop on your hook, and release the yarn from your finger, and there you have a magic ring. And now we can start on our first round. To start every new round we're going to chain, and to chain you have to yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through. So here is your chain. Now we can start working into the ring, and we're going to do a double crochet. To do a double crochet, yarn over, insert your hook into the ring, yarn over, pull through, and now you should have 3 loops on your hook. 1 2 3. And next you have to do yarn over, pull through 2 loops like so, and again yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And there you have your first double crochet into the ring. We will have to make 3 more to make a cluster of double crochet. So again, yarn over, insert your hook into the ring, yarn over, pull through, then you'll have 3 loops on your hook. Again yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and again yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. So here is 2 double crochet. We are going to make one more to form a cluster. So here I'll repeat one more time. Yarn over, insert the hook into the ring, yarn over, pull through 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and then yarn over, pull through last 2 loops. So this is a cluster right here. We will have to work in clusters for this bag. 3 double crochet is equals to 1 cluster, and I'm just pulling enough yarn. So after this you have to chain 2, 1, 2. Now you have to make another cluster into the ring. We have to make 4 clusters in total in this ring. So I'm just continuing making the other cluster. So after every 3 double crochet you have to chain 2 and then start the another cluster and then another and another. Here I'm going to speed up the process so you can see. You can pull this yarn to make the magic ring small. It is easy to work in. Now I have moved towards the last cluster of this round. So it will look something like this. And now comes the fun part. I'll be changing color. So after this white, I'll be using the black. First, you see this yarn over here. You have to pull this tail so the magic ring tightens and it forms something like this. You see the square shape forming. Now I will be changing color. I will be using black. So take the yarn and how to change the color. You see this last double crochet, I'm just going to open it a bit. See the last 2 loops, insert your hook into those loops, so it is basically a half done double crochet. Now grab the black yarn, the yarn around your finger like so, and take the loop on the hook and pull through the last 2 loops to leave this long tail to tie up at the back. And now we are going to chain 2, and here you can see the third chain, 1 2 and 3, the first double crochet. You have to insert your hook into that and you have to make a slip knot through the yarn, and then you have 2 loops and pull through the previous yarn, and that is the slip stitch. So the first round has been completed. Now we will be moving on to our next round, but first you have to turn your work over. You will have these yarn ends and you have to tie them together to secure. I usually tie 3 times to make sure it's secured. So now we have to make 2 chains, and you see the space right here. We have to work into this space, so we have to make a cluster into this space. So I'm making double crochet and the second double crochet into the same space and the third one. So here is the first cluster of this round. Now we have to move into the second space you see over here, but first we have to chain 1 and then double crochet into the second space. So whenever we have to move to the other space, always chain 1. Completing my second cluster. So after this cluster you have to make 2 chains, 1 2, and then you have to go into the same spacing and make another cluster. So here I am working on the second cluster into the same space, so we can form the corners every time we move to the other round. So in each round we are going to do the same thing. We will be forming corners, but when you move from one spacing to the other, you always have to chain 1 like so and then move to the other spacing. I am fast forwarding from here to complete my round. So now as you see here, I'm going to make the last cluster of the round chain one. You see the point, the space where we started, so we have to make cluster over there too, because we have two clusters at each corner, and that is a corner as well. As before, I will be changing color. So for the last double crochet through two loops, and the last two loops will be on your hook, and then you have to change the color. Here I'm going to use a copper color yarn, so I'm just going to set my yarns like so, so it will be easier for me to access all three yarns. So wrap the yarn around your fingers like so, insert the hook, do the last two loops on the hook, and there you have it. You can change the colors like so, and then you have to chain two, and you can see the third chain of the black yarn, and insert your hook, pull through the yarn and pull through the previous yarn on the hook, and that's your slip stitch. Now you have to repeat the same steps that we did with the black yarn. I'm making the first cluster with the copper yarn. On to the next step, you have to chain one, and you see the spacing right here. It is not the corner spacing, it is the middle spacing. So for the middle spacing, you have to chain one first, then make one cluster only into the middle space. So here I am crocheting three double crochet like so, and chain one, and move on to the next space, that is the corner space. So we'll repeat the same process that we did with the black yarn. One cluster, two chains, and the other cluster into the same spacing. You have to work through the same way throughout the round. So far I've done 5 rounds of the granny square, and the color sequence I was talking before is, look how this granny square differ from this in the color sequence. So this is how it turned out. I've done all the 10 rounds of the granny square, and this is the back side with the hanging yarns, and we will have to weave these yarns into the granny square. And this is a very DIY method that I use, weaving the ends with the crochet, because once I was outside and doing crochet and I didn't had a needle at that time with me, so I did this and it worked. So I'm just showing you guys, you can, it's all up to you. You can use needle of course to weave your ends, or you can use this method that I'm using right here. So I'm just going to weave the ends in and show you how it looks like. So once you have weaved the ends inside, you can cut the leftover yarn. See, now the work is looking neat and clean from the wrong and right side. And here I've completed all the 3 granny squares. And again, it's all up to you how you use your colors, your yarns. This is how I made it. You can even use one color or two, three, four, or multicolor. It's all up to you. So now I will stitch all of these 3 granny square together to form a bag, and for that you will need a tapestry needle. To join the bag I will be using copper color for now. So here are 2 ways you can take your yarn. First, you can measure the length of the granny square, the sides of the granny square, and you can double the yarn that you're using like so. Or you can just cut 100 to 120 centimeter of the yarn, and that will work the same way. It's good if you have more yarn on your needle to sew your work. Firstly, I will be joining these two parts together. Before that, I will be showing you the formation of the bag, the sides that you have to join. I will be keeping the granny square with the white outline in the middle, the copper one below, and the black one at the side. Squares this way, copper and white together, and then white and black together. I will fold these parts. It will look something like this. Okay, I will just adjust this into the camera, and I'll show you the correct side of the bag. This is something how it will look like. So this is how it will turn out after joining. Now I will explain one more time how I'm going to join the parts. Granny square in the middle, and the next is on their sides like so. Fold it, it will look something like this. Then you have to stitch this part as well. To stitch from here, so these are the right sides of the granny square and this is the wrong side, as you can see the threads. So you have to keep the right sides of both the granny square and start to stitch from here. See these spaces right here of both the squares, you have to join these first. Your needle from above the white space like so, and below, from below the copper space like so, and you have to pull the needle through and leave the end of the yarn this much, and then you have to go again the white and from below the copper, and I will go 1 to 3 times from here to secure the corner because that is important. Pull the yarn tightly so it doesn't come off. Okay, I will just go one more time, but this time I will make a knot. Wrap the yarn around the needle and pull through, and then you have to just tighten up the knot. Pull both the ends to make sure it's steady. So now I will start to stitch all the way through. I'm going to insert my needle under this stitch and under the stitch of the other granny square and pull through all the way. So here I am working the same stitch right next to the space, and I need to go parallel with each stitch from both granny squares as I join them together, because this way the stitches will stay even and aligned all the way to the end. Pull the yarn tight to make sure the stitch is secure. I will go again under the V stitch of one granny square and under the V stitch of another and pull through tight. So you can see these stitches forming. I will show you one more time. Under this stitch and under the other stitch and pull through. So this is a very easy method to join your granny squares, and I will do all the way through and then I'll come back and show you. All done, and this is the last space that I will stitch the same way. For the third granny square, I was originally planning to join the entire bag using the copper colored yarn, but I don't think it will look good here. So instead I'll switch to black yarn for the joining, and I'll also change the position of the granny square to this side so I can continue working with the black stitches. So again you have to follow the same steps for the stitching. The space of the black granny square and the space of the white granny square, we are going to stitch them together under the white and under the black one and pull through the yarn and leave a tail behind this much and then go again. I usually go 2 to 3 times to make sure the corner is secured, and I will do the knot. So it's basically the same way I did with the copper yarn. So I'm going to do the first stitch over here under the white and then under the black and pull through, pull tight. I will just change the position of my work so it is easier for me to stitch the same way I did before, under this and under the other, pull through tight, and I'll show you how it looks like afterwards. So all done with this part, and corners are done as well. As you can see, the granny squares are facing the right side. This is the middle one, and these are the outer ones. Now we need to flip the entire work like so. So you can see the wrong side of the granny square and fold it in half like so. And I'll show you how to stitch the corner to the top folded side and then repeat the same on the other side of the bag. So here, as you can see, the spaces of both the granny square, and I will go one more time through these spaces to give a transition stitch from back side of the bag to the front of the bag. Then we will repeat the same stitching over here as well till the top of the folded side. Make sure your stitches are aligned so that it looks neat from the front and back as well. Okay, so I've done this part so far. Now it's time for this side to be done. So finally I'm done with the stitching, and you can weave the ends inside, and I'll just show you the bag from the back side and from the front side. I think it has started to look very good, and I'm also going to measure my bag how much inches wider it is. It is 13.5 from both the sides because of course the squares are equal. So if you are going to go with the 10 rounds of granny square, you will end up having 13.5 inches wider bag. Now it's time to make the strap. I will be using the same three colors I've been working with: copper, white and black. I will be starting with the copper, then with the white and black. And of course the length of the strap depends on your preference. To begin with the strap, you have to leave this much long tail behind, and then you have to do the slip knot. Wrap the yarn around your fingers like so and take your hook the same way you did the magic ring and pull tight so you have a loop on your hook, and that is your slip knot. Now you have to start chaining. It's up to you how much long you want your strap to be. I will be making 100 chains for my bag. So to make a chain, you just have to yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through like so. And I'll be completing my 100 chains. Okay, so I forgot to mention that you can use a smaller hook to make tighter chains and tighter stitches, and that will be better for a strap because it may lose when you will put weight in your bag. So now I'm doing single crochet. So you have to go in the chain, pull through the yarn, then you have two loops on your yarn and then yarn over, pull through. Now you have to do the same thing all the way to the end. So when you have reached the end, here is where I'm going to change the color. So I'm just going to do one more single crochet, and this is the last one. So you have to stop here when there are 2 loops on your hook and grab the other color yarn and wrap it around your fingers and pull through both the loops. And this is the same way you did in the granny square. And then chain 1. Whenever you're going to go to the second row, you have to chain 1, flip your work and start single crocheting, and you have to leave the chain and start crocheting from the copper color yarn that you can see. Continue doing the same till you reach the desired width of your strap. So now I'm done with the straps as well, and I have did 5 rows of single crochet, and you have to leave this much long tail at both the ends to join the strap to the bag, and the remaining ends you have to weave it in to the strap, or you can secure and cut it off. So this is how something it will look like. Now it's time to attach the strap to the bag. So I'm going to join it here in the space you see right here with the help of the tapestry needle. Insert this tail into the needle like so, and grab one end, and then you have to go from above, and then you have to go with the needle in every row. So I went from above the space, and now I'm going to go below the strap in the first row and insert the needle like so and pull through, and make sure it's very tight, and from above the space again and below the strap like this, then again from above the space and below the next row of the strap, from above the space and pull tight every time you go, and below the strap of the next row, then above the space, pull tight, below the strap, and again above the space like so, and every time you go you have to pull tightly to make sure the strap is super strong. And at the end I would like to go 2 to 3 times over and over again and make a knot so that I feel that it's secure. Same goes with the other side of the bag. And finally I am done with the bag. Here is how it looks like. And here it is. My crochet bag is ready. I love how it turned out, and it's such a fun and quick project. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to Urva Crochet, and share it with your crochet friends. And I'll see you in the next video.